Welcome back to Going Walkabout. We've been away for 6 months now, and we are preparing to go back to the United States. And boy, the last 6 months, there's been so much going on. The news has been fairly robust. There's a new change of government in the United States, there's tariffs, there's wars. I wanted so badly to put my head in the sand and not watch the news, and I think there's a lot of people that feel that same way because I found this statistic that says a lot more people in 2025 are not watching the news anymore. But because we travel so much, we need to pay attention to what's going on in the world. With that said, I have a lot of concerns about going back to the United States after looking at the news this past 6 months. And so I thought it would be interesting for me to go over those concerns in this video, and then once we get back to the United States, to see if those things are true or not, to see if what we're seeing on the news trues up with what we see in reality. And I'm from California, so there's been a lot of news on California lately. My plan is to do another video, part 2, at the end of July, once we've been back in the States for a couple of weeks, and be able to let y'all know the reality of the situation as we see it there. First of all, if this is your first time watching, thanks so much for joining us. My name is Susan Steele, and with my husband of 40 years, Carl Steele, we sold everything 3 years ago and decided to go traveling. Initially, we were looking for a place that we could live on our retirement budget. Well, as you can see, we're still traveling, so we haven't found that place. And what we've kind of done in the meantime, along with making travel videos about how to save money and places that you can go to, we've also done some videos on cultures and different people in those places as well. So have a look at that if time allows. But thank you again for joining us today. And before I get started, I just want a disclaimer. These things that I'm voicing today are my opinions, and so I don't want anybody to take offense in anything, in as much as this is how I feel, but by all means, please let me know your opinions in the comments below. People love to read the comments, and I'm sure a lot of people would appreciate knowing your point of view. To start with, I'm going to go over my 6 concerns that I have in going back to the United States. And as I mentioned, when I get back to the States, the second part of this video will be me truing up those 6 concerns. So we'll have a little bit of an outline to go with when I do another. So number 1 on the list is probably no surprise, and that is what I'm seeing happen with our Constitution in the United States. So the right to due process and a fair trial, the right to protest and free speech, the rights of immigrants to be able to try to become a citizen of the United States. All of these things seem very much in play right now, and I would say out of all of the things that I'm concerned about, that would be my biggest concern with what I see in the news going on. Some of the things that stood out to me the most are putting the National Guard into California. I worked in downtown LA, I know it very well, and what they were guarding is a microscopic part of Los Angeles. And for not very much need, we lived in LA during the big riots, which were after Rodney King. So this was not even a blip on the screen, and it then puts into question our constitutional rights, and then it puts into question the use of military and National Guard for something of that nature. It's almost like, it feels like somebody's trying to create a war with the people from a certain state. I hope that's not the case, but that's kind of the way. At number 2, we have inflation, and before we left, part of the stump speech of the current political regime that's in office was that they were going to bring down inflation immediately, which is great, and that's great for everybody. I know that before we left, and I've got the receipts on this, we were spending $1,400 a month on groceries. Eggs were $10 for a dozen, and gas was $5 a gallon. So this is going to be an interesting one when we do part 2 to see if some of these prices have come down and what's really kind of going on with inflation that doesn't necessarily get reported in numbers or on the news. My other concern is that part of this particular group of politicians that got into office, they said that they were going to mitigate or take down the national debt, which is in the trillions. And to do that, they would have tariffs. And the tariffs, the money garnered from the tariffs, would then pay off the national debt. As of today, I've only heard of 2 deals being made on tariffs, one with China and one with the UK, neither of which have we gotten any details with. So it's really hard to do any kind of math and tabulate, are we getting enough money that we could pay off the national debt? It certainly doesn't seem like that. And so I'm hoping that when we get back, we'll get a lot more clarity with what other countries are doing, because we haven't gotten a lot of deals on tariffs, and we have a really big number to pay on national debt. So it will be interesting to see how that resolves itself. At number 4, we have this big, beautiful bill that's supposed to get passed by the Senate. It got passed by Congress. And I guess my concern with the bill is that it's going to be lowering taxes for people who are very, very wealthy. As a person who paid 40% tax for my whole career, I have a hard time with this. I would be deemed middle class. And it appears that in this tax bill, there's no relief for middle class or lower income people, but tax for the super wealthy. Again, this tax is supposed to be able to be manufactured because of the tariffs that are supposed to give us so much money. But I feel like it's very much cart before the horse if a bill gets approved that's going to be powered by tariffs that haven't been done yet. And if in fact it happens, shouldn't we see the granular math on that so that we can understand if in fact those tariffs are truly going to the bottom line of the American government? So that to me is a real head scratcher right now and something I'm highly concerned about. At number 5, we had something that I was quite excited about actually, and that's that all the wars would stop. This current political group has said that they would stop the wars within 48 hours after taking office. That hasn't happened. Not only have the wars not stopped, but we now have another war potentially on the horizon. Besides Russia and the Ukraine, we now have Israel and Iran. So I'm getting very, very concerned about the inability to have détente to help stop some of these situations. And it's interesting because we don't have troops in Russia and we don't have troops in Iran right now, but we have troops in California. So as a native Californian, I gotta be honest, I got a lot of concerns about that. I'm really uncomfortable with the fact that our military is being put into our state. We have fantastic police. I've grown up around some of the best police force, I think, in the world is LAPD. So I really have a hard time understanding what the military is doing in California. And by the way, I support them wholeheartedly because we love our Marines in Camp Pendleton and out in the desert. So it's not a matter of us not liking our military, it's just that's not the best use of them. I guess the last thing that this political party said that they would do when they got into office is they would stop the division inside of the country. And if anything, again, just from looking at the news that we've had while we're here in Mexico, the divisions seem to be growing greater, not less. There was the assassination of one of the politicians in Minnesota. We had, 5 to 10 million people do a very, very peaceful protest a week ago, explaining what what they want in the United States. And I don't recall any of the political party that's currently in office even acknowledging that. And that's 5 to 10 million Americans. So it's really hard to bring people together when you don't listen to both sides. And by all means, those of us that didn't vote for the current political party, we're trying to listen. And I've tried very hard to eke out what I think are some positive things that could happen. And as of yet, I'm not seeing those things happen. I hope going over these 6 things has helped you if you're watching this video so that you can feel like you're not the only one thinking, is this a little bit kind of crazy? Certainly, the news hasn't been terrific. But I'd like to see, sometimes, as we all know, the news can get inflated as you watch it on television. And so I want to be open-minded and hope that there's some positive changes that have been taking place. If you've seen some positive changes, please list them in the comments below. And I will look forward to seeing you at the end of July. Thanks again for watching the video today. If you've enjoyed it, a thumbs up really helps the standings of the video, or better yet, subscribe. I do a new video every week. Thanks again for watching, and cheers for now.